I do a lot of reading. I read a ton of books, and it's not about getting to a plateau. Hey, I've reached it. One thing about you and I, like you just said, we're always going to move that field goal post. I finally made it, but now I've already moved it 3 times before. So again, you've got to enjoy the journey, enjoy the grind, enjoy the sacrifice, and realize, hey, 5 years ago, this is what you prayed for. So enjoy it. Try to be content in it. Yes, you can continue to look forward, but I would say, enjoy that moment, I guess, because time flies.
Welcome to Alpha Marketing, your go-to resource for unlocking the full potential of your small to medium-sized business. Hosted by Aaron Shishilla, CEO of Wolfpack Advising. Now, let's learn how to dominate your market.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Marketing Alpha podcast. Today, I'm joined by Nathan Lippincott, founder of Knockout Inspections and a certified master inspector. Nathan grew up in a construction family, improvised framing crews, and launched Knockout in 2013 in Alabama. He and his team are fortified evaluators, specialists who inspect and certify homes to IBHS standards for hurricane and severe weather protection. This unique niche has not only protected thousands of homes, but also built Knockout's reputation as a trusted authority along the Gulf Coast. And I personally know Nathan. We hung out, had a little bit of a steak dinner. So Nathan, welcome to the podcast. Glad you made it here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah, I'm excited about this particular podcast in specific because I know Knockout Inspections does the home inspection stuff, does the regular stuff that a lot of home inspectors do, but you also have a lot of niche ancillary services, and you just discussed a little bit about how you're doing other stuff and other revenue streams. So let's start from the beginning though. You started working in construction, and what led you to home inspections?
So yeah, I grew up in a family of builders, built a ton of houses. I built my very first house. I worked 60 hours a week out in the heat. Again, I know you're in Florida, so you know what the heat's like. So the heat just wore me out. So I did framing for about 15 years. It was a family-owned business. My brother and my dad. My father-in-law started harassing me about starting a company. And I'm like, what am I going to start? He's like, well, so they owned a knockout pest and termite company. So again, he's like, you need to start a home inspection company. I already know all the realtors. I know all the ends. So that's how I got into it. 13 years ago, I went to AHIT, American Home Inspectors in Training. It was live back then. They didn't have all the internet stuff back then. So I went to a live training, got licensed in 2013 and became a home inspector. And that's sort of how it all snowballed from there.
I probably could learn a thing or two about framing with you because honestly, I did some in my house, and it's not even like the real framing. It's probably like putting a baseboard in, and it just did not line up whatsoever. So I probably could learn a thing or two about that.
It's funny.
Okay, so you've obviously grown Knockout, and for people that don't know you, I mean, Knockout Inspections does how many inspections? You're pretty popular, right?
Home inspections, we're going to hit over 1,600. And again, a lot of people use the wind mitt and 4 points. Here in Alabama, we do not do wind mitts and 4 points. So it's 1,600 true home inspections. Again, I know a lot of different companies say, oh, we did, 1,000 wind mitts, 1,000 4 points. We just don't do any of those. Again, it's all straight home inspections. So we'll do about 1,600 this year. But we do home inspections, we do fortified, we do bank loan draws, air quality control testing, blower door testing, duct testing, got into the lead inspection industry as well with an XRF gun. Again, just a lot of things that have popped up over the last 13 years.
And I know a big part of your particular business is Fortified. So tell us, what exactly is Fortified for those people that don't know?
So Fortification is a program built by IBHS. They are the Insurance Institute of Business of Home Safety. They are funded by insurance. It's a nonprofit. And basically, they can replicate a Category 3 hurricane with 8 inches of rain in South Carolina. So if you go up there, they have a massive warehouse. They spent something like $40 million on this plant. And if they turn on the fans in that, they have 120 fans that they can turn on. And they have to tell the city before they turn them on, or they'll shut the whole city down with the power that they pull to these fans. So again, they test all kinds of different industry standards, how things are installed, products to be used, things like that. So again, and fortification brings 3 different levels. There's fortified roof, there's silver, and there's gold. So anybody putting on a new roof can go to a fortified roof level. We document it, and all we are is the evaluator. So we document the process of that install of that roof. There's fortified roof, and then typically gold is for new construction. You have an engineer involved. We document the strapping. You're looking from rafters down to walls, down to floor, strapping it all the way down. So again, it's a Code Plus standard that brings it up to that level to where then you get insurance discounts along with it as well.
And what states is this available in?
It works in all 50 states, to be honest. Again, they're starting to do grants in a lot of them. It's sort of the chicken or the egg. How do we get the word out there? DHS now has over 85,000 fortified certificates. That could be roof, that could be gold. 50,000 of them are in Alabama. But again, they are right now, IBHS is in 32 states. Me personally have done about 20 of those states. So we've done Oregon, we've done Colorado, we've done Wisconsin, Minnesota. And a lot of these states are starting to do a grant program where there's a $10,000 grant. Alabama does a $10,000 grant to put on a fortified roof because they know you'll save money if we can get that grant and put a roof on that saves you. During the next storm, if we have water intrusion, you have sheetrock damage, cabinet damage, flooring damage, all of that. And with this, if we can keep the water out, we just save the insurance companies $80,000 to $100,000 per house.
What would you say in terms of the makeup of your business? How much of that is like your business for Knockout?
That's a great question. I would say Fortified's heavily that side. I would say 60% is Fortified. We did over 2,200 Fortified certificates last year. So again, that's definitely a good portion of it for sure.
How'd you grow that side? Because I feel like for a lot of people, and at least for me, like home inspections is easy. Maybe not to everybody and they're getting started, but like you talk with some realtors or whatever else, but like, how did you get into Fortified?
So yeah, the good news is because I was framing houses, it's an interesting thing. I was framing houses, got to meet a lot of the builders, and the last 3 houses that I built were actually gold fortified. And I will be honest, I'm always wrong about everything. So I was wrong again. I said, this is never going to take off. It's not going to work. They started in 2013, right when I was finishing framing. And I'm like, this is way too difficult. This isn't going to happen. Well, they got in the right people's ears, insurance companies and politics and all that. And it took off. So the last 3 houses I built were gold fortified and I was physically doing the labor. 2015 rolls around. D.R. Horton, Brulin, DSLD, all these tract home builders began to do gold fortified. So 2013, I started Knockout. 2015, all these tract homes started doing gold fortified. And I said, I need to look into this. So I went and took a 2-day training, got licensed for that as well. And I called up all my old builders that I used to frame for. I was good friends with them. And they said, absolutely. They were already doing it. They just needed an evaluator to finish the process. So again, I started with builders and then I started calling all the local roofers as well.
So really, it was just connecting with the different builders and roofers because they're the ones that, like, I guess, are hiring you guys?
Correct. The roofers and the builders typically, homeowners every now and then will push for it, So again, the homeowner will be the first to know about it. Once it becomes the standard, which here in Alabama it has, you get to a new place, Louisiana launched the grant program. So again, it's you have a little bit of half and half. Some roofers are like, it's not worth it. Some roofers are pushing it. So again, it's chicken or the egg first, I guess, is the way I always compare it. But yeah, it's coming along for sure.
So now you're offering like Energy Star stuff, and I know we talked a little bit about that and like blower door testing. Why do you think you're going this route of offering a lot of different types of inspections or different types of work? Like where a lot of just other business owners or even inspectors specifically are just talking about like doing more home inspections or expanding their service area. Do you feel like there's a method to your madness?
I'm not sure. I will say, I'm one thing, I'm a glutton for punishment. We travel 4 or 5 hours for jobs. We do things all over, we're in 20 different states. We're working on different things. Now, that doesn't mean I have employees in 20 different states, but we're in a lot of different states doing jobs. I've always been raised in a hardworking family. So again, I used to frame for 60 hours a week. So this part's easy to me, But I would say, no, I don't have a method to the madness. I always thought the revenue number was the driving force. Hey, if I can drive my revenue higher, I make more money. Well, the deeper I get into business, the more I realize that's not always true either. This year, I hired a fractional CFO, and we're working on a lot of those numbers to figure out where am I making profit. We're growing, we're scaling. I'm making more money than I did 13 years ago. But what ones are making money is the long-term game. And again, even if one's not making money, what do I got to charge to make that money? So again, there's a lot of, for 13 years, I worked in the business, and everybody says it. And until you get to a new plateau, I guess, or that new step, now I got to start working on the business. And that's where I feel like I'm at right now.
Yeah. I feel like that's one of the tougher things to come by is like, I don't know, for me and maybe for you, like the first like 5 years of your business, like kind of like goes by so quickly and 5 years later, you're like, what the heck happened? You know, how did I get here? And I don't know about you, but for me specifically, like, I still feel that challenge of like, man, if I could just have this or if I could just have that.
Mhm.
And I'm sure like basically what how you're describing is exactly how you're feeling sometimes with the state of your business right now, even though you've come so far.
No, 100%. I'm like, 10 years ago, I would have never told you I'd be where I'm at. I mean, nearly impossible. And at the same point, it's like, but I see so much more. I mean, there's so much more. I have the employees, I have the manpower, I have the capabilities. What's next? And it's, um, going from zero to $1 million, I had no idea how to do that. Now going from 1 million to 3 million, I had no idea how to do that. Now I got to go from 3 million to 10 million, and it's like, that the challenge is what makes it fun. Again, the hardest part for me is I don't love working on my business because again, it doesn't feel like I'm out in the field doing. I'm a grinder. I want to be out there grinding. I want to be out there building the business. And you do got to step back and look at your business and make sure it's you know profitable as well.
Yeah, I think patience is one of the hardest things I come by on it. Sometimes, like, I get that as like you want to go out there. Like when I did inspections, it was just easy because you just went out there, you did the inspection, you did a good job, and you could just kind of vibe, go to a gas station, get your lunch, get your energy drink, and then go out to the next one. And I'm sure that's what it was like framing or building houses. You just have a good day,
Yeah.
pretty chill. But I don't know, it's a different beast when you're working on the business and having to have a lot of patience.
No, I'm 100% with you because again, I'm like, man, we can be here in 2-3 years. Like, let's get there, and I want to be there tomorrow. I have massive goals. I have ideas of where I can be. I'd love to have, 50 home inspectors in 20 different states and growing in all these states, and I know I'm going to get there. But like you said, it's the patience part of it, and it's like, you got to be consistent to continue to make that happen.
Looking back at your business and like how you started in 13, what advice do you think you would give yourself now? Or what things do you know now that you wish you would have known before?
One, I guess enjoy it. Again, like you said, be patient, enjoy the journey. I do a lot of reading. I read a ton of books, and it's not about getting to a plateau. Hey, I've reached it. One thing about you and I, like you just said, we're always going to move that field goal post. I finally made it, but now I've already moved it 3 times before. So again, you've got to enjoy the journey, enjoy the grind, enjoy the sacrifice, and realize, hey, 5 years ago, this is what you prayed for. So enjoy it. Try to be content in it. Yes, you can continue to look forward, but I would say, enjoy that moment, I guess, because time flies.
Well, going into that, you have a Cybertruck. And so I have to bring up the Cybertruck. Are you still enjoying your Cybertruck? How do you feel about it now?
I love it. I
You
love
still
it.
love it?
I love it. Yep. I guess we're in a pretty conservative place, but somebody put it on TikTok the other day and flipped it off. And my daughter sent it to me and said, Dad, you made it to TikTok. So I made it on TikTok. So I was so happy. Oh, that it's an ugly truck. I mean, I tell everybody, the first day I got it, somebody said, that's the truck. That's the ugliest effing truck I've ever seen. And I said, but you'll always remember Knockout. So again, it's the
Yeah.
branding, the attention, but the self-driving, dude, flawless. I mean, just flawless. It's incredible.
I test drove. So after we hung out, we went back home, and like with Tesla, you can obviously just go straight to the dealership or whatever to like test drive anything you want. So I test drove a Cybertruck because I was just like, I need to actually like test this thing out. And I just couldn't vibe with it. It just felt really foreign and uncomfortable driving. And how like long and tall the windshield is, it just felt uncomfortable. Do you feel that?
I got used to it. I mean, the windshield wiper is massive. I mean, it's literally 4 feet or so. I mean, I don't know how big it is, but it's huge. When I first got in it, it felt like a big truck. I thought it was going to be a smaller truck, like between, a Maverick and, F-150. But I think it's almost bigger than an F-150. I'm like, how'd this thing get it turned into a tank? But, it just got used to it after a while. Again, I'd do anything just to have the self-driving because it's just so flawless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that there was a study, and I don't know why this podcast flipped over to Teslas, but it's something I can talk to you about. There was a study that came out that said full self-driving, like 50% of people haven't like tried full self-driving that own Teslas.
Why?
I'm so amazed by that. Do you think, and the other thing too is like with robo-taxis coming out, I don't know, I just feel like a lot of people are kind of still sleeping on full self-driving. Like even talking to my dad, if he's listening to this, he just says, well, I still have to look at the road. So like, what's the point of getting it if I still have to look at the road? Which I get, but it's just that I guess the total mental capacity you could just take off and the whole load.
I drove 2.5 hours the other day and looked out the window the whole time. You can enjoy it. You can be content. You can be in your thoughts. When you're driving, you have to pay attention. Like again, yes, right now you have to look ahead, which I think we're 6 months to a year away from us getting in the truck and taking a nap and just going.
Hmm.
I'm hoping by the end of this year, I mean, he's always, over promises a little bit, but I think in the next year, you and I will be taking a nap in our Teslas.
I sure hope so. You branded your Cybertruck. Do you think, like, besides the getting flicked off on TikTok, have you gotten any business from your Cybertruck?
I got a ton of business. The first 6 months, I got a ton of business. It just worked out. The timing couldn't have been any better. Same thing like we've talked about patience. I remember 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, when I put the $100 down payment on it, and I was hoping he would change the truck a little bit, but he didn't. He's like, here's our conception. I'm like, he'll change it. No, he didn't change it at all. But just having that patience and that drive, and when I was able to finally order it, I'm like, I've got to wrap this in knockout, and it just, yes, I've earned a lot of business from it for sure.
I wish I could do that, but I feel like the IRS would be upset because I'm a remote digital marketing agency.
You don't need
And they'd be like,
you don't need a vehicle to drive around town for SEO marketing.
"What are you towing? What are you towing?" It's the same thing that I actually I've seen them actually throughout Tampa where they're digital marketing agencies or attorneys with wrap Cybertrucks, and I'm just like, how is that a
Can you not
work
wrap your
vehicle?
Model Y? Can you wrap your Model Y?
I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. I probably could look into it. I'd probably do it. I don't know. Now, just like we talked about moving the goalposts with the business and like wanting to grow the business even further. You get the Model Y, and you're like, but I test drove the Model X, and that's so nice. Have you ridden in a Model X?
Well, that's my first, our very first one. The reason I don't even know how I got stuck on Teslas, but talking about the industry and goals and things like that, I had the Model X on my phone for 3.5 years before I could finally buy it. When I first started Knockout, I had this, again, set your vision, set your target. Where do you want to be? So my wife has had a Model X for 6 years. It has 120,000 miles on it, and she will not, like, I keep telling her to buy something new, and she's like, I will never have a new car. I'm like, well, hopefully we can put 400,000 on it. I'm happy. So we love the Model X. Love it.
When you were framing, and you kind of talked about this at the beginning, like you said, you could never imagine. What do you think flipped in your head? Because now you're like, you were framing and you said like, oh, I could never imagine having this particular business, but now it's like something changed in your mind to where you are grinding in a way and like constantly moving the goalposts. And I don't know, you talked about reading and everything else, and like you're just so business focused and career focused. And there's a lot of construction guys, a lot of people that get into home inspections that aren't that, and then somehow they change.
Yeah, I think for me, it was a lot of reading. When my wife and I first got married, we had no idea what we were doing. We were broke. We were upside down. Started reading Dave Ramsey's books. So I lived on Dave Ramsey to a T for 6 years. Don't quite live like that any longer. But again, it was just what sort of taught me discipline, maybe. And then just reading business books and vision books and Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. And I've read that book 7 or 8 times. And you can, we can have anything we want. We just got to imagine it, and it becomes true. So again, it's for me, it was all about reading is where it all came from.
I feel like that resonates with me too. Like it came from reading, but like some people don't have that itch to read. Like for example, my wife, like she reads the fiction, or some
Right.
people, they look at those self-help books or whatever, and they look at, I don't know, you get treated kind of like a little bit of a nerd and a loser for
Yep.
reading those kind of
Yep.
books. I don't know, for myself, there was something about it, like reading, that just made me feel good about
Yeah.
it in a way, and like make me feel motivated. Do you feel the same way about yourself? Like that it just made you feel good?
100%. 100%. If I'm not reading, I'm wallowing in my tears. I'm upset. I'm depressed. Again, you got to have that drive. You got to have that goal. I always pick on my wife too. I'm like, what are you reading fiction for? There's no value there. And I understand, yes, reading's good, but you just, go watch a movie. Like if we're going to waste an hour, let's go watch a movie. But she loves to read fiction too. But everything for me has to be motivation and wealth and happiness and success, and everybody thinks success is reaching this plateau or making this dollar or doing this. It's the journey. I mean, somebody can be successful at $50,000 a year, and somebody can be successful at $100 million a year. But again, it's the journey and it's the process of the flow more than that. It's funny because when I finally got the Model X, dude, I was stoked for probably 24 hours. Then I'm like, okay, what's next? Again, that the end goal is not the destination is the journey, not the end goal.
Mm-hmm. So you're telling me you don't read any smut?
No, no.
Okay. All right. I have two big questions
All right.
that I wanna hit you with. So the first one is actually marketing focused. Do you think that you've ever made a big mistake in marketing, and that's taught you a big lesson? And what was that?
When you do something wrong, pull the plug faster. Many times you're like, you think it's going to work. Like I've done TV, I've done billboards, I've done radio, I've done, marketing is such a invisible world. And I appreciate, again, this is not a plug for Wolfpack, but we'll throw it out here. I appreciate the transparency. I've paid every SEO company in America probably and have no reports of anything. So again, when you feel like something's not working, go with your gut and stop it. If TV's not working, if radio's not working, billboard's not working, so many times we're like, oh, if I just pay one more month, if I just pay one more month. And sometimes if you don't have the funds, especially early on, it can be devastating to your company.
Do you think like none of that stuff worked for you? Like, what do you think has worked the most for you?
I wouldn't say none of it has worked. I mean, everything, some of it's branding. And that's where you've got to realize my mind. The more I read, I'm always like ROI. I mean, I even talk to you about that all the time. Aaron, what ROI are you bringing me? I don't care what you do for it. I just want to know how much money you're making me. So sometimes we got to say, okay, this is just about branding. And branding to me has no ROI in my mind. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But if I go on TV and people see the cider truck or my 13 trucks wrapped, no, I'm not really making a return on investment on my wrapped trucks. But the branding, everybody knows that Knockout exists. They're a large company and they care about their company.
Yeah, 100%. That's something that I have to talk to a lot of business owners about, that when you first start your particular business, maybe you're building relationships, and like how you were growing from framing over to home inspections and then even over to Fortified, you build these relationships, and those people, because you built those relationships and invested in them, they provided that return on investment. But when you start talking about like maybe a larger marketing campaign or really growing your brand and growing your presence, let's just say like a Facebook ad campaign. You can't just throw a Facebook ad there to get like conversions for things of people that don't know you and don't trust you, right? With Google ads, it works really well because you're capturing like the exact search intent. But with Facebook ads, like the way that a conversion would work is you have to retarget an audience, people that already have like visited your website or maybe that already have like a particular interest. So some of the things that I have to talk to people about, business owners ask me all the time, is like, hey, let's do a broad reach campaign, an awareness campaign. Let's warm up an audience and get people interested. And then I still get a question like 7 days later of it's like, hey, what's my return on investment on that campaign? I'm like, well, you've reached 3,000 people and this was the cost. And I think that's some of the things as business owners, especially small business owners, people struggle with. Anyway, next question that I have for you, bigger question. For other people listening that are growing their small business, what's one thing that they can start now to fortify their own brand or grow their own business that you would recommend for them?
Man, there's many things to me. And again, it's shifted over time. Again, love that my camera keeps moving on us. That's awesome. The camera keeps moving around. One is grinding. Again, I always like the word grind. And in the beginning, you're going to have to do things time and time again, and consistency. To me, if you go visit one realtor office one time a year, they're not going to use you. You need to be going to that real estate office 2-3 times a month to say, hey, I really care about you. I'm here to serve you. And many times we always go in asking for business. Hey, I'm Nathan Lippincott. I'm with Knockout Inspections. What can you do for me? And when we go into a real estate office and say, what can you do for me? It's about me instead of about them. If you can go in and offer them something, recently I started some CE courses. Hey, I'd love to come in and teach for free. I teach CE courses for free in Alabama and Mississippi. So we go out there and we teach and we educate and we do all these things to offer that. So again, I think giving before you expect. And so many times we go in, like you just said, if I come to you, Aaron, and I say, okay, I expect you to do this for me, I'm always going to fall short. You're going to never prove yourself to me because I'm expecting more out of you than what you don't even know what I expect. So I'm going to expect more out of you than what you think I'm getting. So I think being consistent, showing up, and it takes time. The first year and a half is extremely, I don't know which type of business we're talking about. If somebody in the first 5 to 10 years, but that first year is going to be very challenging.
Do you think the relationships, especially with agents, is still like your primary focus, or what you would recommend for primary focus?
100%.
Really?
You got to build rapport. You got to build that connection. You got to build that relationship. Again, I still have realtor relationships from 13 years ago. And the hardest part for me, I had a phone call yesterday. I haven't done a home inspection in 2 years. I haven't. I get a phone call from a realtor. Hey, I need you to come do this home inspection. I said, I have 6 great home inspectors. No, I want you to do it. I said, I promise you, you don't want me to do it. I haven't done one in 2 years. So it cracks me up when these realtors call you just because of the relationship you have built with them. And that's where it comes from. So again, the hardest part to me is stepping back, because then you almost feel guilty. You're losing some of these relationships, but I'm training my guys, my marketing guys and all that, how to build that rapport. But you almost feel guilty when you're not, you don't know everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that hits home for me too in a lot of ways, because Nathan, I love you, but sometimes you email me and I'm like, Nathan, to be honest, I don't know. I gotta ask your favorite fan or your favorite gal on our team, Zoe, which is now Isabel. Isabel's now your favorite. And I go, Nathan, I don't know. I gotta ask Isabel. That's the same thing to me.
I sent my office a meme the other day, and it was this TikTok, and I don't know how it had the name Nathan on it, but he's running the computer at the cashier, and they're all like, he's new. He doesn't know what he's doing. And it goes in the background. He's not new. He's the owner. He has no idea what he's doing. Again, and I feel that way all the time. Again, we built this machine, and we used to do a lot of it, and we used to do some of it, but and that's the other thing. If you're going to hire smarter. So many people are always scared to hire somebody better or smarter than them. And I will always find somebody that's better than me, smarter than me, can build better rapport than me, and you pay them to where they can't leave.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like as I've grown within Wolfpack, and maybe you feel the same way, I feel like I'm more ADHD and more dumb and don't know what's going on.
100%. 100%.
All right, Nathan. Thank you for being here. Where can people find you? And tell me a little bit more about, like, you have Fortified that you're working on in all 50 states. Can other inspectors and other people reach out to you about that?
100%. I mean, I was going to try to put this plug in here too. We're looking at growing and they're doing a grant program in Louisiana. They're doing a grant program in Oklahoma. They're looking at a grant program in Arkansas. So there's a lot of opportunity here. One, if you're a struggling home inspection company and you'd love to come on board with Knockout, I would love to talk to you about buying your home inspection company out and teaching you how I market, how I grow, how I go from here to there. But as well as I'm happy to educate you on how to do it on your own as well. So that's, again, I will always train my competition because that only makes me better that way, makes me better. You can reach out 855-GO-FOR-KO, GOFORKO.KO, and then it's goforko.com. So again, I just made a little jingle every time I shut my Cybertruck door. It plays 855-GO-FOR-KO. So yeah, got me a little jingle for Knockout. So
we should have put that plug at the beginning. That's an amazing plug.
Sorry, I couldn't. What? Sorry.
I said we should have put that plug at the beginning. That was an amazing plug. I don't know how. Maybe we start out with that jingle at the beginning of the podcast, but that's a huge thing to say too, for you to be like, I'll train my competition.
I do. My office gets a little irritated with me because I expect them to do the same, and they're like, we can't keep doing this, and I'm like, again, it makes us better. If somebody can come out here and do a better job than me, more power to them. But again, it's going to push me farther. It's going to push me harder. It's going to push me to where I need to be, that next person that I need to be.
I'm going to be a home inspector in your market.
Okay, come on. Let's go.
All right, Nathan, thank you for being here. Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you want to check out Nathan, remember, just go for ko.com. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Alpha Marketing. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other business owners and marketers. Your support enables us to continue bringing you actionable advice and the tools you need to thrive. Join us next time for more insights with Aaron Shishilla, and keep striving to be the alpha in your market.